Good evening. Welcome to the December 1st Rochester Hills City Council regular meeting. Call the meeting to order. Ms. Wishburn, would you please take roll?
Good evening. Vice President Carlock?
Here.
Mr. Blair?
Here.
Mr. Lindberg?
Here.
Ms. Menino?
Here.
Ms. Mangioli?
Here.
Ms. Neubauer?
Here.
Mr. Skelsey?
Here.
Vice President Carlock, we have a quorum.
Thank you. And now our Rochester Hills Government Youth Council will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody will please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of agenda. We are going to pull one item at the request of the administration, item number 2025-0493. With that in mind, would somebody make a motion? Mr. Blair, seconded by Ms. Neubauer. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We have an agenda. Next up, Council and Youth Committee reports.
Good evening, City Council members, Mayor Barnett, and citizens of Rochester Hills. My name is Oliver Blakely, and I am a 9th grader at Rochester High School, and I am currently in my first year of serving on the Rochester Hills Youth Government. I serve on the Planning Commission. In November, Youth Council assisted with the swearing-in ceremony right here at City Hall. We also had a regular meeting on Wednesday, November 19th, and we participated in the Light the Village event on Friday, November 21st, by passing out wands to children at the event. Looking forward to this month, the Youth Council is participating in the Rochester Area Christmas Parade in downtown Rochester on Sunday, December 7th, where we will be marching with the City Council. We have our December regular meeting this Wednesday, December 3rd at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. Our Youth Council has a special holiday meeting planned next Wednesday, December 10th, at the Rochester Hills Museum at Van Hoosen Farm. We also plan to do some holiday shopping for local nonprofits. We are also planning our winter event, which will be taking place at the end of January. More details will follow after our December regular meeting. Thank you all for your time and have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Blakely. I don't see any council reports tonight, so I will move on to the consent agenda. I will pull two items from the consent agenda, item number 2025-0496 and item number 2025-0498 for vote after the consent agenda. All matters under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion. If any council member or citizen requests discussion of an item, it will be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion. I have a motion by Councilwoman Neubauer, seconded by Councilwoman Mangioli. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That matter passes. Item number 2025-0496. Request for purchase authorization, fire, blanket purchase order for public safety, emergency preparedness, safety equipment, solutions, and related services in the amount not to exceed $66,500 through December 31st, 2026. Safeware, Inc., Lanham, Maryland. Mr. Lindberg.
Yes, I wish to recuse myself to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest with relation to my employer.
Thank you. So,
Through the chair, he will not be deliberating or voting with respect to this proposed item.
so do we have a motion for Councilman Blair, seconded by Councilwoman Neubauer? So I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a blanket purchase order for public safety, emergency preparedness, safety equipment, solutions, and related services to Safeware, Inc., Lanham, Maryland, in the amount not to exceed $66,500 $500. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That matter passes. And the second one was 2025-0498, request for purchase authorization fire blanket purchase order for protective ensemble for structural firefighting in the amount not to exceed $38,720 through December 31st, 2026, McQueen Emergency Group, Romeo, Michigan.
Also with this item, I wish to recuse myself from this item to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest with my employer.
Thank you. So I have a motion by Mrs. Mangioli, seconded by Mr. Blair. I will read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council authorizes a blanket purchase order for protective ensemble for structural firefighting to include the purchase of turnout coats, pants, and structural firefighting boots to McQueen Emergency Group, Romeo, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $38,720 through December 31st, 2026. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Next up, ordinance for introduction. Item number 2025-0564, request for acceptance for first reading, an ordinance to amend sections 54-166, 54-226, 54-228, 54-261, 54-262, 54-302, 54-346, 54-382, 54-383, 54-502, 54-587, 54-590, 54-651, 54-711, 54-742, 54-776, and 54-806 of Chapter 54, Fees of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to modify and supplement fees charged for various city services, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and prescribe a penalty for violations. Mr. Snyder.
Oh, thank you, Vice President Carlock. Good evening, City Council, Mr. Drovich, and Mr. Blakely. Well, tonight we have 4 separate ordinance chapters proposed for update for the upcoming fiscal year 2026. And this will be the first of 2 scheduled readings. So this is part of the city's annual process of reviewing and updating our ordinances to A, ensure that our fees are set appropriately to cover our operating costs, and to B, update any ordinance language or include any new sections to ensure our ordinances are according to applicable laws and statutes, current standards and practices, and for competitiveness. So first, we will start with 2025-0564, Chapter 54, Fees. And within Chapter 54, we have various sections of that particular chapter with updated fees and language, which is submitted by the Building Department. And here's where Vice President Carlock can get a drink of water before we get going again. And these would be for parking lots, plumbing, water distribution, temporary electrical service, electrical circuits, HVAC systems, moving of buildings, EV charging stations, mobile food vending, driveway right-of-way approaches, pathway connections, inspection fees, service calls, temporary hydrant rentals, meter testing costs, and water and sewer connections. If approved tonight, we'll be back before you on December 15th for a second and final reading. And with that, I, as well as members of the Building Department, are here for any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. I don't see any council comments. I do have a motion by Mrs. Neubauer, seconded by Mrs. Mangioli. I will read that ordinance. Resolved that an ordinance to amend sections 54-166, 54-226, 54-228, 54-261, 54-262, 54-302, 54-346, 54-382, 54-383, 54-502, 54-587, 54-590, 54-651, 54-711, 54-742, 54-776, and 54-806 of Chapter 54, Fees of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to modify and supplement fees charged for various city services, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and prescribe a penalty for violations is hereby accepted for first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That matter
thank you.
passes. Next up is 2025-0565, request for acceptance for first reading, an ordinance to amend Section 79, special events of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to modify and supplement fees charged for various city services, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and prescribe a penalty for violations. Mr. Snyder.
Okay, well, same opening spiel. And this, as Vice President Carlock mentioned, is Chapter 79. And within Chapter 79, we just have one section of that chapter with updated permit fees as submitted by the Building Department for permit fees. And again, if approved tonight, we'll be back December 15th for a second and final reading. And I, as well as members of the Building Department, are here for any questions or comments.
I see no council discussion on this topic. I have a motion by Mrs. Neubauer, seconded by Mrs. Menino. Resolved that an ordinance to amend Section 79, special events of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to modify and supplement fees charged for various city services, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and prescribe a penalty for violations is hereby accepted for first reading. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Next up, 2025-0566, request for acceptance for first reading, an ordinance to amend Section 102-94 of Chapter 102, Utilities of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to modify and supplement fees charged for various city services, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and prescribe a penalty for violations. Mr. Snyder.
Okay, thank you once again. And again, same opening spiel. This is Chapter 102, Utilities, and within Chapter 102, one chapter of, that is requested for updated permit fees as submitted by the Department of Public Services this time for shutoff and turn-on charges. And with that, members of the DPS department are here, and if approved tonight, we'll be back on December 15th for a second and final reading.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Again, I see no council discussion on this topic. I have a motion by Mrs. Menino, seconded by Mr. Limburg. Resolved that an ordinance to amend Section 102-94 of Chapter 102 Utilities of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to modify and supplement fees charged for various city services, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and prescribe a penalty for violations is hereby accepted for first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That
Thank
motion
you.
passes. Ms. Menino, that was your first of many resolutions to move. Congratulations. Next up, 2025-0567, request for acceptance for first reading, an ordinance to amend sections 110-86, 110-88, 110-287, and 110-316 of Chapter 110, fees of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to modify and supplement fees charged for various city services, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and to prescribe a penalty for violations. Mr. Snyder.
Okay, same opening spiel, and the last of our four ordinance changes for first reading, Chapter 110 fees, and where we have, it sounds like four sections of the chapter with updated fees and language, and these are updated fees and language submitted by our Department of Public Services, Parks and Natural Resource Department, and our Planning and Economic Development Department for floodplain use permits, administrative charges, site plan reviews, and wetland and watercourse permits. If approved tonight, as with the others, we'll be back before you on December 15th for a second final reading. And with that, I am here with members of the Planning, Building, and Parks Department for any questions and or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. And yet again, I don't see any council discussion on this topic. I have a motion by Mrs. Menino, seconded by Mr. Limburg. Resolved that an ordinance to amend Section 110-86, 110-88, 110-287, and 110-316 of Chapter 110, Fees of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to modify and supplement fees charged for various city services, to repeal conflicting ordinances, and prescribe a penalty for violations is hereby accepted for first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
All right. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder.
See you in a little while.
Next up, public comment for items not on the agenda. I don't have any of the public wishing to speak on items not on the agenda, so we will close public comment. Legislative and administrative comments. Ms. Mangioli wins today.
Thank you very much, Vice President Carlock. I just, I was realizing coming in here tonight, council's changed. I have a different seatmate next to me, and I did not realize how much that was going to be exciting and scary at the same time. So I can't imagine how the three that are new feel this evening being on this side of the dais. So please take your time learning, and if I nudge you, maybe it's because it's an easy thing to just make a motion or to second the motion. I would sit between Mrs. Moreland and Mrs. Neubauer, and the two of them would be flashing their fingers up here. And the audience can't see it because it's below the level, but we'd be putting our hands when there's no discussion as to, I'll move it, I'll second it. So it can move quickly. And then you have to wait for those times when I chime in and say, hey, I've got a whole bunch of questions for the administration that's here. But I'm looking forward to working with the new council members, Mr. Lindberg, Ms. Menino, Mr. Skelsey, as well as our returning council members, Vice President Carlock, Mr. Blair, and Ms. Neubauer. So it's very exciting, a new start for us as a council. And I'm trying to think back to what it was like 2 years ago when you joined us, Ms. Neubauer. But congratulations and welcome. We got to hear you at the swearing in. We didn't get to say anything that night. So I'm very excited to have all three of you here and looking forward to the direction the city council is going to go into for the next couple of years. So congratulations and welcome.
Absolutely, yeah. To expound on that a little bit, yeah, we are all excited to work with you. And the residents are lucky to have people that are willing to sit up here because it is not an easy job. There's not a whole lot of thank yous up here, for sure. But what you're doing is important in keeping the city moving in a direction that we all believe is what's best for the residents. So thank you. Okay, no other council comments, so I will turn it over to the administration. Ms. Sudovich.
Thank you very much, Vice President Carlock, members of council, Mr. Blakely. If I could have my screen shared, please, Ms. Wisbren. So yes, good evening. I'm Erin Sidrovich. I am Chief of Staff for Mayor Barnett. Mayor is unavailable to attend tonight's meeting, so I'll be providing some brief administrative comments on his behalf. But to echo the previous comments, he did ask me to extend a sincere thanks and welcome to our three newest board members, our council members, excuse me, and we are all very excited to work with you, and he is very grateful and thankful that you are all on board as well. So congratulations, and here we go. Before we get into a recap, I wanted to make sure to say thank you to Tracy Ballant and the entire DEPS crew who managed the winter weather over the holiday weekend and kept the roads cleared. So the team did a great job. And of course, this is only the beginning. So off we go. Looking back over the past last few weeks here since we last met, we had a very memorable Veterans Day. Mayor attended 3 different ceremonies at Veterans Memorial Point, Rochester High School, and American House Senior Living Community to celebrate that occasion. I know many of our council members were out and about around town as well, which was fabulous. We had several ribbon cuttings over the past few weeks. We were excited to welcome Real Trucks, Zarminelli Pediatrics, and Helping Hands Adult Daycare to Rochester Hills, and of course, we wish them great success in our community. And that is, in fact, Megatron over there standing next to the truck, Calvin Johnson, indeed, in the flesh. So that was exciting for the Lions fans in the room. The Brooklands Plaza opened to the public just earlier this month. We'll be doing an official ribbon cutting this spring when the warmer weather returns. But here you can see some great photos of the new playground. So it's very exciting to see that up and running. If you have a chance to stop by, please check that out. It really is a great park, and our Parks and Natural Resources team did a great job getting that all together. We have some other things to look forward to this holiday season. Excuse me, I just went too far here. 1 second. Did I pass through? Oh, we'll stop. We'll stay here. There we go. Oh, no. There's where I wanted to be. Thank you. We kicked off the holiday season with Light the Village at the Village of Rochester Hills. That was on November 21st. We gave Santa a key to the city. We flipped on the light switch and we watched a bunch of wonderful fireworks. It was a beautiful night, which contributed to a record crowd this year. We want to make sure to say thank you to everybody who attended and helped out, including our youth council volunteers who distributed 500 lighted wands in under 15 minutes. So that was a popular spot to be that evening. Speaking of thanks, we are certainly grateful to everyone who has contributed to the Hometown Harvest Food Drive with our neighbors at the City of Rochester. Donations are being accepted through tonight as well. We also partnered with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office for Coats for the Cold, and the city employees are working with the Neighborhood House and their Giving Tree to provide gifts to families around our area. We appreciate everyone's support in all of these efforts and want to give a special thanks to Council Members Mangioli and Neubauer for leading the charge with the Hometown Harvest Food Drive. So it's very exciting to see all of that coming together. The holiday celebrations continue this week with the Rochester Hometown Christmas Parade and the Grand Marshal Gala. You may remember that Museum Director Pat McKay was selected to serve as this year's Grand Marshal, so we'll be excited to celebrate with him. And of course, the parade is at 2 o'clock on Sunday, December 7th. Don't miss that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know many of the folks up here are participating. And if that's not enough to pack your holiday calendar, please come on out to Innovation Hills this Friday and Saturday night for the Holiday Lights kickoff. The lights are going to be up all season long. However, we have a special group of activities happening this weekend, so please grab your family and some warm winter gear and come check that out. And with that, I will conclude my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any more council comments, we'll move on to attorney's report. Mr. Christ.
Thank you, Vice President Carlock, members of council. No legal report tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Christ. Next up, nominations and appointments. It's that time of year where we nominate and appoint citizens to represent the city on the various committees that we have here. First one up, 2025-0511, nomination appointment of 7 citizen representatives to the Deer Management Advisory Committee, each for a 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. Ms. Mangioli.
Thank you, Vice President Carlock. So I have been the council's representative to the Deer Management Committee and served with the representatives that have requested to be reappointed to the committee itself. We meet basically once a year, so it's good to see them every May when the Parks Department, Matt Einhauser and the team pull us together to talk about deer. And with that, I want to renominate Deb Barno, Rick Braun, Sean Donovan, Ben Galloway, Scott Hunter, Jim Kubasina, and James Nachman for reappointment to the Deer Management Committee.
Thank you, Ms. Mangioli. No other nominations. I have a motion by Mr. Blair, seconded by Mrs. Neubauer. So I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Deb Barno, Mr. Braun, Sean Donovan, Ben Galloway, Scott Hunter, Jim Kubasina, and James Nachtman to the Deer Management Advisory Committee, each to serve a 1-year term expiring December 31st, 2026. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next up is 2025-0512, nomination and appointment of 3 citizen representatives to the Green Space Advisory Board, each for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2028. Mr. Blair.
Vice President Carlock, I'd like to nominate Bruce, Duperrin, and Bossler.
Okay, I'll read the resolution here, not seeing any more nominations. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Mr. Bruce, Mr. Bosler, and Mr. Duperon to the Green Space Advisory Board, each to serve a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028. I have a motion by Mrs. Mangioli, seconded by Mrs. Neubauer. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Next up, 2025-0513, nomination and appointment of 4 citizen representatives to the Historic Districts Commission, each for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2028. Ms. Mangioli.
Thank you, Vice President Carlock. I did not sit on the historic districts, but I know that Mrs. Moreland had been our representative to that committee. I reached out to Julie Grantham, who has been one of the leaders of the Historic District Committee, to ask her for advice, seeing that we didn't have Mrs. Moreland here to request. Some of the citizens have requested to be reappointed, and they are Yusuf Elias, Kelly Lyons, and Charles Tischer. There does leave an opening on the Historic Districts Committee, and I would like to nominate Carol Moreland for that 4th spot, as she had served on the Historic District Committee when she was a resident prior to joining council. So those are the 4 names that I have for that: Elias, Lyons, Tischer, and Moreland.
Thank you, Mrs. Mangioli. I don't see any further nominations for this, so I will read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Elias, Lyons, Moreland, and Tischer to the Historic District Commission, each to serve a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2028. I have a motion by Mrs. Neubauer, seconded by Mrs. Mangioli. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Next up, 2025-0514, nomination and appointment of 4 citizen representatives to the Historic District Study Committee, each for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2027. Mrs. Mangioli.
Thank you, Vice President Carlock. Again, I had reached out to Julie Grantham to see if she had some advice for this committee. She does say that they don't meet that frequently, and we're glad to see that the 4 that are currently serving want to be reappointed. So I am nominating Janice Ferry, Carolise Lassner, Brian Lemansky, and Jason Thompson for the Historic District Study Committee.
Thank you. I don't see any other nominations. I have a motion by Mrs. Neubauer, seconded by Mrs. Mangioli. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Ferry, Lassner, Lemansky, and Thompson to the Historic District Study Committee, each to serve a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2027. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next up, 2025-0515, nomination and appointment of 2 citizen representatives to the Human Resources Technical Review Committee, each for a 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. Ms. Mangioli.
Thank you again, Vice President Carlock. So I do serve on the HRTC TRC committee, and we meet once a year, maybe twice a year, to talk about different salary and benefit changes that the city would propose as part of the budget. We have had Sharon Dow and Greg Hooper have been the 2 representatives on that committee, and they did seek to be reappointed, so I am nominating Sharon Dow and Greg Hooper to stay on the Human Resources Technical Review Committee.
Thank you, Mrs. Mangioli. Seeing no other nominations, I have a motion by Mrs. Mangioli, seconded by Mrs. Neubauer. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Sharon Dow and Greg Hooper to the Human Resources Technical Review Committee, each to serve a one-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next up, item 2025-0516, nomination and appointment of 2 citizen representatives to the Liquor License Technical Review Committee, each for a one-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. Mr. Blair.
Vice President Carlock, thank you. I serve on this committee and want to thank Brian McCurdy for his service. He's leaving the committee, but I would like to nominate Greg Hooper for reappointment and former council member Deal, who served on that committee. I think he'd be an excellent addition. So Deal and Hooper.
Deal and Hooper, thank you, Mr. Blair. I have a motion by Mrs. Mangioli, seconded by Mrs. Menino. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Greg Hooper and Ryan Deal to the Liquor License Technical Review Committee, each to serve a one-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next up, item 2025-0517, nomination and appointment of 2 citizen representatives to the OPC Social and Activity Center Committee, each to a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2028. We do have some public comment. Reminder to the public that this is limited to 3 minutes. Ms. Edith Grashier?
I would like to be on this board. I have been attending the board meetings for over a year now at the OPC. Now, there are several things that you do that are excellent. One would be the trips. The best thing you have at the OPC is, in my estimation, is your aqua Zumba and your balance classes. They both meet the NIH recommendations. What I would like to say is I would like to be a good steward for the city representative and for the people who use it. This way we get interaction from everyone. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Grashick. We do have some council comments. Ms. Mangioli.
Thank you, Vice President Carlock. Thank you so much for coming. It's so rare that we actually get a resident to come forward and say, yay, I want to be on a committee when we're doing the appointment. So thank you very much for doing that. We do have an opening this year, as Mr. Walker is, Mr. Delpup is not seeking renomination to that position. Michelin Summers is. Carol Moreland has been a member of the board there, and I know there's been a request for continued leadership of the board. So I'm going to nominate Carol Moreland as well as Michelin Summers. But Ms. Grashick, if the next time there's an opening, it would be great to have you on the board at that time.
Thank you, Ms. Mangioli. Seeing no other nominations, I have a motion by Ms. Menino, seconded by Ms. Neubauer. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Carol Moreland and Sumners to the OPC Social Activity Center Committee, each to serve a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2028. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. We really do appreciate that you're willing to serve, and please continue to go to the meetings. You know, you can have an impact.
I have an impact already. I go to every of those meetings.
Good.
And I'll be damned. want to make
Yeah, I'm sorry, this isn't a discourse, I'm sorry.
No, we're not going to have discourse. I'm telling
So,
you what I'm going to do. That isn't discourse.
Item number 2025-0518, nomination and appointment of 7 citizen representatives to the Public Safety and Infrastructure Technical Review Committee, each for a 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. Ms. Neubauer.
Thank you, Vice President Carlock. So I've had the pleasure, I don't serve on this committee, but I've had the pleasure of serving with several of the citizen representatives on other committees. So I know them pretty well. And I would like to renominate Sharon Dow, Jason Graves, Greg Hooper, Heidi Morris, Scott Struzek.
Slow down.
Oh, sorry, Leanne. Sorry. Sharon Dow, Jason Graves, Greg Hooper, Heidi Morris, Scott Struzek, and James Tokarski, as they have all expressed interest in serving another term. And I would also like to add Mr. Ben Galloway. I think his experience as a former fighter would be very good for this committee.
Thank you, Ms. Neubauer. I don't see any other nominations, so I have a motion by Mrs. Menino, seconded by Mr. Blair. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Sharon Dow, Ben Galloway, Jason Graves, Greg Hooper, Heidi Morris, Scott Struzek, and James Tokarski to the Public Safety and Infrastructure Technical Review Committee, each to serve a 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next up is 2025-0519, nomination and appointment of 1 citizen representative to the Rochester Hills Museum Foundation for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2027. Mr. Blair, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Neubauer. No, it was you.
I think you're number 1, David. So for this one, Mr. Vern Pixley has expressed an interest in being reappointed, so I'd like to nominate Mr. Pixley.
Thank you, Ms. Neubauer. With no other nominations, I have a motion by Mrs. Mangioli, seconded by Mr. Blair. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Vern Pixley to the Rochester Hills Museum Foundation to serve a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2027. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next up, 2025-0520, nomination and appointment of Ken Elwert as delegate and Russ George as alternate to the Trailways Commission, each for a 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. Ms. Menino.
Yes, thank you, Vice President Carlock. I would like to nominate Ken Elbert as delegate and Russ George as the alternate to the Trailways Commission.
Thank you, Ms. Menino. I'm seeing no further nominations. I have a motion by Mrs. Mangioli, seconded by Mrs. Neubauer. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Ken Elwert as delegate and Russ George as alternate to the Trailways Commission, each to serve a 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next up, nomination and appointment of 5 citizen representatives to the Water System Advisory Council, each for a 1-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. And I believe I forgot that it was item number 2025-0521. Mrs. Mangioli.
Thank you very much, Vice President Carlock. So for the Water System Advisory Council, this is an important committee for the city because they discuss the water and sewer rates. Mr. Lindberg had served on the committee as a citizen representative, and he has to step off, so there is an opening on this committee. Currently, Mr. Garvey, Mr. Hooper, Mr. Hurst, and Mr. Paley have expressed an interest in serving for another term, and I would like to nominate Chandra Malhotra as the 5th representative for this committee.
Thank you, Mrs. Mangioli. I don't see any other nominations at this point. I have a motion by Mrs. Menino, seconded by Mr. Lindberg. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Mr. Garvey, Mr. Hooper, Mr. Hurst, Mr. Malhotra, and Mr. Paley to the Water System Advisory Council, each to serve a one-year term to expire December 31st, 2026. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Water. Next up, election of City Council President and Vice President. Item number 2025-0522, election of the City Council President for a one-year term to expire December 6th, 2026. Mr. Blair.
You seem to be doing a pretty good job over there, Jason. I'd like to nominate you for council president.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Ms. Mangioli.
Thank you, Vice President Carlock. I look forward to calling you President Carlock. Last year, when I supported you for Vice President, is because of continuity, for this very reason of having somebody on council that could lead us today and learn from this past year. I've admired your leadership and the way you build a team, so I'm very grateful for you stepping forward and saying, yes, after a year of being Vice President, I would be willing to be President. So I second the nomination that Mr. Blair has made for you this evening.
Thank you very much for those kind words. Mrs. Neubauer.
I mean, I don't want to keep saying nice things about you, but I just want to say you have been an excellent vice president. Your calm leadership and very smart and strategic. You really have a heart for the city, and you put the city and the residents first in everything you do, in every vote. There's things you do throughout the city that other people don't know about, and your support of the residents make you perfect for this. So I third if that's a thing, I third it. So in 5 minutes, we hope to call you Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Neubauer. So I believe at this point, because there are no other nominations, we can do
So can I move to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Jason Carlock to be president of the Rochester Hills City Council?
And I second that motion.
second. Okay, so motioned by Mrs. Mangioli, seconded by Mrs. Neubauer. So resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Jason Carlock as City Council President for a term to expire December 6, 2026. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. I really do appreciate and hope that I can continue to lead in a way that makes both you, the administration, and the citizens of Rochester Hills proud. Thank you for entrusting me with this. That brings us to 2025-0523, election of City Council Vice President for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. First up, Mrs. Neubauer.
Thank you, President Carlock. I was first. I would like to nominate Teresa Mangioli to be Vice President. She's been serving on City Council for 6 years. She serves on numerous committees within the city and outside of the committee. She is inside the city and outside of the city. She is well-versed in everything, about everything. She knows, I can say as a lawyer, she knows more of the rules, laws, legislative matters than I do, or she's amazing. She's a great leader. She's perfect for the position, and I would be so honored to nominate her to be our Vice President.
Thank you, Mrs. Neubauer. Mr. Blair?
Yeah, Councilwoman Mangioli's attention to detail on every agenda item is matched only by her expert knowledge of parliamentary procedure. So I think she would be an excellent vice president, and I second that nomination, President Carlock.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. So we have a motion by a nomination and a motion by Mrs. Newbauer, seconded by Mr. Blair. Seeing no other nominations, I will read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council appoints Teresa Mangioli as City Council Vice President for a term to expire December 6th, 2026. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Congratulations, Ms. Mangioli.
Thank you.
Next up, council appointment to independent boards and commissions. So there will be one vote at the end. So I'll read all of these and state the name of the council member that will be assigned to each of these. We'll make one motion and one vote for all of these all at once for all of us on council. Item 2025-0524, appointment of one city council member to the Advisory Traffic Safety Board for a one-year term to expire December 6th, 2026. Mr. Limburg. Item 2025-0525, appointment of one city council member to Avondale Youth Assistance for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Skelsey. Item 2025-0526, appointment of one city council member to the Board of Trustees to the Retiree Health Care Trust for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mrs. Menino. Item 2025-0527, appointment of one city council member to the Board of Trustees to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mrs. Menino. Item 2025-0528, appointment of one city council member to the Van Hoosen Jones Stony Creek Cemetery Trust for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Blair. Appointment of one city council member to the Mayor's Advisory Committee on Diversity and Inclusion for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Blair. Item 2025-0530, appointment of one city council member to the Green Space Advisory Board for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Carlock. Item 2025-0531, appointment of one city council member to the Green Space Perpetual Care Trust for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Carlock. Item 2025-0532, appointment of one city council member to the Board of Trustees to the Rochester Hills Museum Foundation for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mrs. Menino. Item 2025-0533, appointment of one city council member to the Naming Standards Committee for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Blair. Item 2025-0534, appointment of two city council members to the OPC Social and Activity Center Committee, formerly known as the Older Persons Commission, for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mrs. Mangioli and Mrs. Menino. Item 2025-0535, appointment of two city council members to the Personnel Board for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Carlock and Mrs. Newbauer. Item 2025-0536, appointment of two city council members to the Pine Trace Committee for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Blair and Mr. Limburg. Okay, so item 2025-0535, appointment of one city council member to the Personnel Board for a one-year term. That'll be Mrs. Newbauer, not myself. Item 2025-0537, appointment of one city council member to the Planning Commission for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mrs. Newbauer. Appointment of one city council member to the Rochester Area Youth Council, RHGYC, for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Oh, I'm sorry. 2025-0538, appointment of one city council member to the Rochester Area Youth Assistance, RAYA, for a one-year term to expire December 6th, Mr. Lindberg. Item 2025-0539, appointment of one city council member to the Rochester Hills Government Youth Council for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026, Mrs. Newbauer. Item 2025-0540, appointment of one city council member to the Rochester Auburn Hills Community Coalition for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026, Mr. Skelsey. Item 2025-0541, appointment of one city council member to the Rochester Avon Recreation Authority, RARA, for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026, Ms. Mangioli. Item 2025-0542, appointment of three city council members to the sister city, Auburn Hills, for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Carlock, Mr. Lindberg, and Mr. Skelsey. Item 2025-0543, appointment of three city council members to the sister city, Rochester, for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Blair, Ms. Mangioli, and Mr. Skelsey. Item 2025-0544, appointment of two city council members to the Southeastern Oakland County Resources Recovery Authority, SACRA, for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Carlock and Mr. Skelsey. Item 2025-0545, appointment of city council member as one as delegate and one alternate to the Trailways Commission, each for a one-year term to expire on December 6, 2026. As delegate, Mrs. Menino. As alternate, Mr. Skelsey. Item 2025-0546, appointment of one city council member to the Zoning Sign Board of Appeals for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mrs. Newbauer. Item 2025-0558, appointment of one city council member to SIMCOG alternate for a two-year term to expire November 14th, 2027. Mr. Skelsey. The council appointments to the technical review committees. 2025-0547, appointment of one city council member to the capital improvement project for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Ms. Menino. Item 2025-0548, appointment of one city council member to the Cemetery Citizens Advisory Technical Review Committee for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Blair. Item 2025-0549, appointment of two city council members to the Deer Management Advisory Committee, DMAC, Technical Review Committee, each for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Ms. Mangioli and Mr. Skelsey. Item 2025-0550, appointment of 2 to 3 city council members to the Human Resources Technical Review Committee, each for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Carlock, Mr. Lindberg, and Ms. Mangioli will sit on that committee. Item 2025-0551, appointment of 2 to 3 city council members to the Liquor License Technical Review Committee, each for a one-year term to expire December 6, 2026. Mr. Blair, Mr. Carlock, and Mr. Lindberg. Item 2025-0552, appointment of 2 city council members to the Public Safety and Infrastructure Technical Review Committee, each for a 1-year term to expire December 6, 2026, Mr. Carlock and Mr. Lindberg. Item 2025-0553, appointment of 3 city council members to the Strategic Planning Policy Review Committee, each for a 1-year term to expire December 6, 2026, Mr. Blair, Ms. Menino, and Ms. Mangioli. Item 2025-0554, appointment of 2 to 3 city council members to the Water System Advisory Council, each for a 1-year term to expire December 6, 2026, Mr. Carlock, Mr. Lindberg, and Ms. Menino. Okay, let me read the resolution. And so we have a motion by Ms. Mangioli, seconded by Mrs. Neubauer, to accept all of the council appointments. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council members are hereby appointed to the independent boards, commissions, and technical review committees stated above. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Oh, I did miss your comment.
It's all right. I've got no problem with the appointments, and that was outstandingly done, by the way. I have to say goodbye to one of my favorite committees, which is the Traffic Committee, and I've served on it for 6 years, and I want to thank Chairperson Carl Moore, who's done a great job, and then everybody else on the committee, Scott, Jeff, Brian, Tom, Julie, and Terry. I'm passing you the traffic light. This is going to be the passing of the torch to you, Brad, so you're in good hands. Feel free to call me if you need, all right? Back to you, President.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. All right, well, that brings us to new business. Item 2025-0509, request for acceptance of the engineer's report for the proposed Special Assessment District and SAD paving project of Childress Avenue and Enid Streets. Mrs. Ballant, Mrs. Somerville, and Ms. Taylor.
Good evening, City Council President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, and City Council members. I'm here this evening with Karen Somerville, you guys are out of order, and Lori Taylor with me to discuss, we have 2 SAD projects that we're bringing forward. The first one is the Childress Avenue and Enid Street paving SAD. The gravel road is located on the west side of Rochester Road in Section 15. This project started with an initial public information meeting in November of 2023 and has followed the SAD process per the city's policy. There are 9 properties in the proposed SAD. We are here tonight to present you the engineer's report, which outlines the history, scope of work, estimated costs related to the paving project. I'm not going to go into detail because I think the engineer's report was pretty detailed with that information. So if you have any questions, we're here to answer them. And the draft assessment roll is also included. Our request is that City Council accept the engineer's report for the proposed SAD paving on Childress Avenue and Enid Street and set a date of December 15th, 2025 for the public hearing on the necessity for the project. With that, we'd like to open it up for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ballant. I don't see any council comments on this item. I do have a motion.
Nope, I've got a question.
Oh, you do now. Yes, Ms. Mangioli.
Sorry, thank you very much. So thank you very much for bringing this forward. I know it's been, 2 years in the works, so at least a year in the works and for this process to happen. And we have the engineering report tonight that we're accepting. So it's not committing us to any contractor to build a road or apply the SAD assessment to the homeowners yet, correct?
That's correct. So if you approve accepting the engineer's report and schedule the public hearing, which we are recommending for December 15th at the next meeting, you would have time to discuss it at that time. And then also, if it were to proceed beyond that, once we bring back the contract for the construction, you would have the opportunity at that time to approve or not approve it at that time as well.
So for the new council members who haven't been familiar with a special assessment district or a SAD, it's not to indicate that the people aren't happy about it, though they might be, but it is an acronym that we use, and it's there's a requirement that a certain percentage of the residents that are impacted have to sign a petition agreeing to have the street paved in front of them, knowing that they're going to pay a certain amount based on the square footage that's the frontage of their home, I believe. Is that, how do we do determine the assessment per
Actually,
home?
it's based on per buildable site, how many potential buildable sites there would be. So it's just one unit per
One.
site unless there's additional building sites.
So if the property is, if the neighbor's property is empty and there's no home built on it, but somebody owns that site, they still pay the SAD.
That's correct.
Even though it's not being inhabited at the time.
Correct.
Okay. Because we haven't done an SAD many times for city council, and usually it's either very small like this, or it's very large, and they're spread out over a number of homes. Are there any other considerations that we have to take beyond the special hearing, the open hearing on the December 15th?
It would be the same as any other SAD, regardless of the size. There's an allocation that the homeowner will pay and what the city will pay. And so you'll have, on the 15th, you'll have the opportunity to take a look at those numbers and decide whether you want to move forward or not, and go from there.
And they get how many years to pay their SAD?
15.
15 years. So we just tack it onto their tax bill and send it to them every year?
No, it's actually a special assessment, and they get billed the April beginning the project, and they have till June 1st to pay the bill. And then there's an interest rate that we charge if they want to pay it annually, or if they can pay it in full. So they have 15 years to pay it.
And I can pay it by credit card and get lots of bonus points on my credit card, right?
If you'd like.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. And with that, I'll move the resolution in our packet.
Thank you, Ms. Mangioli. Mrs. Menino.
Yes, thank you, President Carlock. I did have a couple follow-up questions regarding the actual calculation of the assessment. Again, I understand it's basically over 15 years, but the cap on it or the amount, is that some type of like state law or any type of, or is that just a Rochester Hills process that was developed to get to the number per household? Because the split isn't 50-50 between the states and the residents. It's a different number. So I'm trying to understand what is behind the assessment to the residents. How's that done or calculated?
That's per city policy, per our city Rochester Hills Special Assessment District policy that we have. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's a further discussion, but yeah, I'd like to understand exactly how we arrived at the number that's in the packet that would be charged to the citizens. I would like to know the
Back in
detail.
2017, City Council set the base at $12,000 to be adjusted annually by the rate of inflation.
Okay.
And right now, it's at 15,000, just over 15,000.
Okay, so we're calculating on a base rate set back in 2012?
2017.
I'm sorry, 2017, at 12,000.
At
And then
12,000.
incremental on top of that is where we got to the number.
That's what we got
And
to the
then,
number correct.
and then we got, just to play it out, we have now an engineering estimate that says it's going to cost X, and the residents are capped based on the policy and the differential the city's picking up, or would have to pick up.
That's right.
Is that, okay?
Correct.
That's what I wanted to understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess the second question, on the meeting on the 15th, or at any, I guess, down the line, is there going to be an opportunity for the citizens to, I would say, re-vote on their behalf if they want to move forward or not? Because I know a vote was, or petitions were signed, but that was quite a while ago.
Yes.
So maybe comment on that.
They get an opportunity to take the petitions back out. If they choose not to do it, they would request that we create petitions for them. They take those out, saying that they don't want to have it done. And again, they would have to have 50% plus one. Just one, just 50%. And then it would end at that point.
Okay, good. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Ms. Menino. So I have a motion by Ms. Mangioli, a second by Mrs. Newbauer. I will see no further comments. I'll read the resolution. Whereas the Department of Public Service requests the Rochester Hills City Council to accept the engineer's report for the proposed paving project of Childress Avenue and Enid Streets, City File Number E23-032, resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council, on behalf of the City of Rochester Hills, hereby accepts the engineer's report for the proposed paving project of Childress Avenue and Enid Street and set the date of December 15th, 2025 for the public hearing on necessity for the project. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. But you don't get to go anywhere. It's 2025-0510, request for acceptance of engineer's report for the proposed Special Assessment District SAD paving project of Dunning Road. Mrs. Ballant, Mrs. Somerville, and Mrs. Taylor again.
All right, so we're here to present the Dunning Road paving SAD. This is just one portion of Dunning Road, and it's east of Eastwood Drive in Section 31 of the city. Very similar to the previous one we discussed, this project started with an initial public information meeting in October of 2023 and has followed the SAD process per the city's policy. Also similar to Childress, there are 9 properties within this proposed SAD. And again, we have attached the engineer's report for your review that outlines the history, scope of work, and costs related to the paving project. And the draft assessment roll is included as well. So our request is that City Council accept the engineer's report for the proposed SAD paving on Dunning Road, east of Eastwood Drive, and set the date of December 15th, 2025 for the public hearing on the necessity for the project. And we would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mrs. Ballant. We do have some public comment on this item. Ms. McCurry?
McCurry.
McCurry.
Janice McCurry, 3451 Dunning. I'm at this is the street they're talking about, the last end of Dunning. It runs from Adams Road all the way to, I think it's Fairfield Farms, those condos. This is just 9 houses that they want to pave. And you're still going to have to get out of the sub on dirt. So, I mean, it seems kind of silly. If it was the whole subdivision, that'd be one thing, but this is just the butt end, so to speak, of Dunning. And our taxes would go up according to the information meeting we had a couple of 3 weeks ago with these ladies, $1,000 or $2,000 a year. I already pay $4,600 on a fixed income, and there's, like I said, it doesn't seem right. If it was the whole sub, that'd be one thing. But if you guys are going to pay $500,000 for this, why don't you do the whole sub and not just 9 houses? That's all I got. I don't want it.
Thank you very much. We do have some council comments. Mr. Blair?
Thank you, President Deal. Christine, would you mind sharing my screen? I just want to make sure I'm understanding the request because it is a little bit difficult to tell here on the Google Maps. It appears that this is the area that's that's dirt, but is this paved over here, this area?
No, none of it.
None of it's paved?
All 3 roads are
Okay.
dirt.
So we would be paving which portion then?
Just that end portion.
Just this end? And what would the reason be for just paving that part?
The residents supported a petition and it met the requirements of the SAD policy. So that's how we've gotten to this point.
So these residents with homes here, and really anybody that's traveling this road, they'd still be on dirt, correct? Okay. And wouldn't there be tremendous economics of scale to just do the whole road? Wouldn't it be, I mean, you'd literally be driving like paving equipment down a dirt road to do just the end, right?
Correct.
Okay. I think that's silly. Is there any interest that we know of any of the other homeowners in our, as this has gone through, you know, the city team and we've done communication, has anybody else on that road been informed of this, voiced their opinion, anything of that nature?
Yes, we had 3 residents come to the public meeting.
Dunning?
Yeah, for Dunning.
Right.
One was,
The one resident's over 100 years old, she couldn't attend.
Right, I just want to make sure that, like, it would be crazy if this were to go through and we were to pave this part, what would, you know, this resident think and this resident think, right? They might want the whole road paved, and then we'd be doing another SAD.
so I wasn't involved in the initial request when it started back in 2023. And I know that there was a larger portion that was requested, but the support, they got the appropriate support was just that portion of Dunning.
Gotcha. All right, thank you so much for that clarification. I appreciate it. Christine, you can turn off my screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Seeing no further council comments, do we have a motion to accept the engineering report?
Nope.
Okay, we do not. That- Okay, with no Ms. Neubauer, did you want to speak?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Is this something that's allowed to be tabled until there's more discussion to address the things that were brought up today with either the residents or with to find out what the bid would be in order to completely do the graveling for everything as a collective project rather than, is this something we can table for a future date that you could provide us so that we know how long it would take for you all to do whatever needs to be done in order to come back with some more substantive answers regarding the bid so that it doesn't just die today? Because I don't think we have enough information to either move it forward or deny it. So I think it would be best if we, in planning, we're allowed to table something or to postpone it, yeah. So
We could-
if that's something that you're willing to do, I'm willing to do a motion to postpone, but I don't want to postpone if that's something that is not something that you all are able to do or.
Well, what
So
we're requesting tonight is for to accept the report and set a public hearing for further discussion
But I
in
think,
2 weeks.
But I think if we did, so it would be, the report that was submitted to us was a specific report for a specific portion. So what I'm asking is, would it be possible to get a more comprehensive report of a bigger area to figure out what the cost would be and the benefit or, you know, whatever is not, if it's not beneficial, to do the complete paving rather to do portion piecemeal? Because what I can see happening is either that portion would be paved or not be paved for 9 residents. And then later, another group would come and say, oh, you know what, we should have paved it. And then another group would come back and say we should have paid that, which ends up costing us as the city more because of the portion we have to pay. So I think if it's something that is doable by your departments, I think what would be beneficial would be, again, I'm speaking as someone who sits on planning, what we would do is a public notice that this is something that's going on and see if the entire group would be willing to do it rather than a portion so that we can do the cost analysis on what our portion would be to do in totality or not do it in totality, like we need more information.
So special assessment districts are spearheaded by the residents. We don't promote them and ask them to participate, never have.
Okay.
Because it always comes from the residents expressing a desire to improve their neighborhood.
So maybe
And then they went out, they included Eastwood, and they did not get support from that street, which would have made a lot more sense
Right.
because it would have went right to Auburn Road.
So this is what I propose that we do. If we can get the contact, because I think the lady who just spoke left. Am I wrong? Okay. So I think what we do is that I would motion to postpone this to a date indeterminate. And then we reach, not the city, not your departments, but maybe somehow we contact this lady and answer her questions and then see where it goes from there. And then if it comes back, or if the group that's bringing your section, the Dunning section, wants to bring it back or whatever it is, I think that's the best way to handle it at this point, because I don't think letting it die today is good. I don't think moving it forward with just the engineering report for this one particular section is probably what, based on the fact that nobody on council moved it, is.
It's certainly, if you did move it forward to a public hearing, we could do the same thing in 2 weeks. We could even.
I don't know if in 2 weeks, just because of the time of year, that it would be good for us to do it in 2 weeks, only because of the time of year it is. So I guess I'm gonna make a motion to postpone this agenda item to a date to be determined, so that more information can be gathered and provided for, I guess, a quote to do the entire, even if we didn't get the support from those residents at this point, maybe knowing that it would be a possibility to do the entire section, and knowing that the cost would be probably less per resident at that point if it was done as a collective project. Because, I mean, I could be wrong, but from what I understand, when we had an issue with power lines, Mr. Blair's favorite topic in the whole wide world, when we increased the number of residents that were getting things buried, the cost per resident went down. So maybe if the residents on the other streets understood that a more comprehensive plan would reduce their cost and our cost ultimately, then maybe that would be more motivation. So in an effort to not let the Dunning motion just die, because we don't want their petition that met criteria to just go away, I would like to make a motion to postpone this agenda item to a date to be determined between city staff and city council.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mrs. Newbauer to postpone 25-0510 to a date indeterminate to do some further investigation. We do have further council comments and questions. Ms. Mangioli?
So this is where I'd want to wear my parliamentary hat and say, I'm only supposed to talk about the motions that's on the floor as opposed to the motion, the topic that was originally here. But in order for me to understand why I would postpone, I do have a couple of questions that pertain to the main motion. So I'm trying to get myself out of parliamentary trouble by doing it this way. First, I do want to make sure the consultant will get paid, right?
Yes, because that was approved in the spring.
Okay.
Their contract was.
Good.
Yes.
Then, understanding that what Mrs. Newbauer is asking for is that we expand the scope of this project, and it's typically with an SAD, it should be a citizen-driven initiative, not a city-driven initiative.
Correct.
So we can go back to them and say, go ask more of your neighbors, see if they want to be involved in this, and if they take the bait, we can then come to a date next year sometime. But the other part I would want to consider is our roads. We have a plan for our roads, what's being paved, what's not being paved. We have a lot of dirt and gravel roads in our community that they're not even on our list of roads to be paved, and we get a request from Dutton Road residents on a regular basis, hey, when can we get Dutton Road paved? So I don't know, Ms. Belant, do we have a schedule of roads that the city would look at paving on our own, without an SAD?
So first, I just want to reiterate that Dutton is road commissioner.
I know, we can't do it. We made the ask. It's like in the
So,
2028, 29 budget or something, so it's.
No, due to cost, we don't have a list of proposed roads that we would be paving anytime in the future that I am aware of.
Okay, so this wouldn't.
The gravel roads.
So for us to expand this SAD to include more homes in here, it's not going to impact any of your capital improvement projects or street projects or budget requests for the next 3 years that Mr. Snyder has so diligently gotten you to scope down and have us approve?
Well, I suppose it would depend on how Mr. Snyder proposed that we budgeted the cost for the SAD.
Okay, but, so we would need to get an idea of an expanded SAD.
Right, and I just want to reiterate that the residents would still be paying the same amount, right? Because it is that capped amount, whether that's adjusted or not. That wouldn't be decreased. The overall cost might, like the city share, might decrease with more residents, but the residents would still be held at that capped amount per parcel.
And if we don't postpone this tonight, don't have an official motion to postpone it, and we just don't pass it, what would be your process then? Do you go back to the Dunning Road residents that brought the petition forward and say, we're sorry, council is not willing to proceed at this time? There was conversation about expanding it. If you want to go and do that, here's a petition to take around to your neighbors. They could still come back to us next year with, 15 signatures from the other homes that are in the area.
I believe it would start the process over.
It started over. But they already have 7 out of 9 that have said they want to do this, right? Or 50% of the people.
60 plus 1.
The current
Right.
portion, correct.
So there's nothing preventing them from coming back. There's no waiting time period. They don't, because we had one with the liquor license a couple of weeks ago where it was, they had to wait a year to come back to us. So there's no wait on this.
No, they could come back anytime.
And I believe I'm expecting it would come back as a different SAD, like either with Eastwood or something like that.
And are the residents expecting a public hearing on the 15th that they're saying, I'm going to be there, I'm going to give up my family Christmas party to be here to talk about the SAD? I mean, they want to be here for that.
So the residents that we had last week on the 20th of November for the public hearing, the second public meeting, excuse me, we're planning, we did inform them of tonight's meeting and the meeting on the 15th.
Okay.
But during these steps, you have the ability to stop it at any time.
Right.
And the residents have that same ability if they get 50% of the votes. If you start all over again and they get more roads to come into this group to make it a more beneficial situation, they have to get 60% plus 1 of the votes of the people on the street that they're wanting to pave. So they will have to start all over again.
So I think what I'm hearing is if there's no motion tonight, they start over again. If we motion to postpone, they just wait longer till they find out if we're going to make them start over again. Or we proceed with the 9 homes and the city's portion. But I think, Ms. Somerville, what I'm hearing is whether I have 9 residents or 20 residents, they all still pay the $15,000. And then the city's portion then expands beyond the $350,000 that's right now our obligation for these 9 homes. So it'll cost us more, not necessarily the residents on a per lot basis.
Right, because they're capped at the 15 plus $1,000.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your explanation.
Thank you, Ms. Mongioli. Mr. Blair.
Thank you, President Carlock. I was concerned at first because it was just, a portion of the road, and I thought this was a resident-led initiative because it's an SAD, but then I found it in the CIP. It's on page 18. Its ID is LS22. So it's been in the CIP this whole time, and that raises even more concerns.
I can address that.
Please.
once they start the process, DPS puts it in the SAD as a placeholder.
Gotcha. And
But it is still resident-driven.
And I appreciate that, and I try to read through the whole essay, through the whole CIP, and it's, 200 pages of reading. It would be great if we could do one of a few things. It looks like there's some room on that page for like a map, and rather than say pave approximately 450, maybe we say like pave 10% of Dunning Road, or put the map in there, because I would never want to see a project like this go through. It would be a terrible use of our road funds, and it would cost a lot for residents that, might want their road paved, but like, that's not what the city needs. Like, I'd love to see the whole road paved. So knowing that ahead of time, I think, would be really valuable. So if we could include some more of that information in the CIP so it's not quite as obscured, that would be very helpful.
Sure, of course. Lori, assist me if need be, but this is the first time, like, how many, when council, other opportunities that council could deny the project?
Will they have other opportunities?
No, I know they have
Absolutely.
other, but like when we brought it forward for the engineering
Oh, they could have right off the
services-
get-go not accepted the petitions when they came
Okay.
in 2 years ago.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blair. So we have a motion at this time, to postpone this item to a date indeterminate, so we can,
Indeterminate, but to be determined by city staff and council. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that it's not determined right now, but once the things that we asked for are met, then city staff and council can, or the agenda writer for council can agree on a date in order to have it. Let me rephrase that so that, okay, strike that. Let's start all over. Attorney Neubauer speaking. Okay. This motion is to be postponed to a date to be determined by the agenda center and city staff after questions posed on the record have been considered, analyzed, and satisfied. Is that good?
I think so. Mr. Christ?
Mr. Christ, is that good? Is that better?
Through the chair, that is a valid motion
Okay.
to postpone.
Okay.
And I think it provides sufficient direction to staff with respect to the intent of the motion.
Okay, so by postponing it, we will not vote on the approval of the acceptance of the engineering report. We will postpone that, which would then postpone the public hearing date to a time after we have acceptance of the engineering report at some point in the future. Okay, so we have a motion to postpone to a date to be determined at a point in the future. Once we have questions on the record answered, city staff and residents have an opportunity to reevaluate the proposal. I have a second by Mrs. Mangioli. So the resolution would be so resolve that the Rochester Hills City Council postpone this item to a date to be determined by city staff and council after questions are posed or answered. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we will revisit this at some point in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ballant, Ms. Somerville, and
Thank
Ms.
you.
Taylor. Next up, 2025-0506, Request for Purchase Authorization, MIS, project budget for purchase of equipment, supplies, and software in the amount not to exceed $186,000 through December 31st, 2026. State contracts, national cooperative contracts, and other supply sources.
Good evening, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, City Council members, and Ms. Sedrovich. I'm here tonight asking for approval of a project budget of $186,000 for MIS to purchase our 2026 budgeted equipment, software, and supplies. With this, we'll work with the purchasing department throughout the year as these items are needed to get the best price and value for the city through state contracts, cooperative contracts, and other supply sources. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Lyon. I don't see any council comments on this. I have a motion by Mr. Blair, seconded by Mrs. Mangioli. I will read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a project budget for purchase of equipment, supplies, and software utilizing state contracts, national cooperative contracts, and other supply sources in the amount not to exceed $186,000 through December 31st, 2026. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Lyons.
Thank you.
Next up, item 2025-0457, request for purchase authorization, fiscal contract blanket purchase order for asset management information system consulting services in the amount of $274,750. Cultivate Geospatial Solutions, LLC, Indianapolis, Indiana. Mr. Snyder and Mr. Vazenko, please be careful.
We've got the team here. All right. Well, thank you, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, and good evening, City Council members, Ms. Sedrovich and Mr. Blakely. Well, tonight I am joined by the Directors of Public Service, Planning, Parks, Natural Resources, Buildings/Facilities, and MIS. And we're here collectively to present a request for a purchase order for an asset management consulting services in the amount of $274,750 to Cultivate Geospatial Solutions, LLC, to help guide the city in selecting a new enterprise asset management system, or EAMS. So first off, the why. This project is really not, it's not merely a software replacement project. This is much more strategic in an initiative to modernize how we manage the city's infrastructure and maximize the public's investment. The City of Rochester Hills is responsible for maintaining nearly $400 million in combined assets. This immense portfolio includes our water and our sewer infrastructure, roads, pathways, parks and facilities, and forestry. So to protect and maintain this $400 million of investment, we must transition to a more modern system that integrates technology alongside industry best practices. So the problem is currently our ability to manage these assets is limited by our own current legacy system, which is called Lucity. It's become fragmented and outdated since it was implemented over 20 years ago. Our current system has struggled because of the heavy customization that was inherent, and it breaks during any updates. And so learning from this, our team is unified in seeking a solution that breaks or focuses more on configuration rather than customization. And we feel this strategy will ensure long-term stability of our assets into the future. As noted in our agenda summary, our current actions during asset management is much more reactive than proactive, and this increases our risk and our potential service impacts. So the selection process, this comes after a rather exhaustive procurement process. The city received 13 requests for proposals. An initial committee of directors unanimously shortlisted 4 firms for interviews. These 4 shortlisted firms were then interviewed by a second committee consisting of managers and technical staff who will basically be the daily users and the power users of the system. Then we reconvened both committees, managers and directors, and determined on 2 finalists for a best and final round of interviews. Ultimately, Cultivate Geospatial Solutions was selected as the best value for the city. They stood out for their vendor independence, their strong team, cohesive project approach that aligns with our city culture and where we want to be regarding asset management in the future. So how are we going to do this? Well, tonight we're asking approval for Phase 1. This is our assessment, planning, and procurement phase. The assessment phase, Cultivate will conduct a comprehensive current state assessment of the city's existing asset management landscape, including a review of the legacy Lucity system, our business processes, and our data workflows. This will involve a rigorous gap analysis to compare the city's current capabilities against industry best practices and ISO 55001 standards. Cultivate will engage directly with our key stakeholders from DPS, facilities, parks, and MIS to identify functional deficiencies and document specific technical software requirements needed for a modern enterprise-wide system. And critically, they will also develop a realistic and conservative budget for future software implementation, which will come in Phase 2. And we aim to bring forward that as part of the realistic and conservative budget as part of the 2027 capital improvement plan and budget cycle. For the planning, Cultivate will develop a strategic plan and a vision document that establishes basically the foundation for the city's future asset management program. This will include development of a comprehensive system design and detailed implementation roadmap that outlines the necessary technical architecture, system integrations with our GIS and our enterprise-wide financial system, and organizational changes, which is very important, required for the success of this system. And third, the procurement side. Cultivate will guide the city through the complex procurement processes to select the best software vendor. They will draft all the technical specifications and functional requirements and develop that into a request for proposal to ensure the city acquires a solution that specifically meets our documented needs. They will also support the city's team throughout the selection process by assisting with the evaluation of the vendor proposals and developing scripts and facilitating software demonstrations. And finally, advising on final contract negotiations to ensure the city secures the best value and the most favorable terms. So the timeline. Well, with council approval tonight, we anticipate to kick off Phase 1 in full beginning in January of 2026. We anticipate this initial Phase 1 to take approximately 9 to 12 months to successfully complete and will culminate with an RFP being issued to solicit proposals from various enterprise asset management software firms. Phase 2, which will come next, would be the software implementation, configuration, and training phase. And this phase will commence once the RFP and the demo phase from Phase 1 is complete. It's estimated that that RFP review and demo phase will begin in January of 2027 and may take 3 to 6 months to review the software RFPs, demo the shortlisted vendors, finalize the proposed contract, and present the proposed awards to City Council for approval. Once presented and if approved by City Council for Phase 2, it is anticipated to begin in approximately July of 2027, and that has an anticipated 18 to 24 months time before full implementation, configuration, and training is deemed completed. So basically, the targeted project completion for this entire project is scheduled for the summer of 2029, so it's going to be a journey. Well, many members of the city has completed the Asset Management Champion Program, sponsored at no cost by the Michigan Infrastructure Council, including, I believe, all of us sitting here. And through this training, we've really learned how truly interconnected our assets are, and that immense coordination is needed to maintain our infrastructure at the highest level. We realize asset management is a journey. Anybody laughing there? No. Oh, yeah. We heard it many times through our training. It is definitely a journey. And it is really something that cannot be done and should not be done overnight. So we have made great strides, but we have now reached the point where we must reinvest in our own software and our own internal processes. And Cultivate will help the city in its asset management journey and help forge down the correct path as we go along. So with that, myself as well as the Directors of Public Service, Parks and Natural Resources, Building Facility, and MIS are all here to help answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. We do have some council comments and questions. First up, Ms. Mangioli.
Thank you, President Carlock. I get to do it now. I want to thank you for the answers to the questions that I sent in advance, and if President Carlock, if we could add those to the minutes
We
for
will.
today's meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. So I know that some of you are aware that Mr. Blair and I are both involved in the technical realm of the world, and so for Ms. Lyons, I just got to shut down servers this past weekend and decommission software. We did that in 6 months. My next project at work is transitioning us from a Primavera software to a Planisware software. That has to be done in 9 months. So there was like 3 months where we decided to choose between vendors. It wasn't, and we have about 20,000 users globally who are impacted by the software. So the timeline is a concern for me. Because you're telling us that the software we have right now is reactive versus proactive, and we're going to take 3 years, and it's going to last beyond my tenure on council. So I'm looking for Mr. Lindberg, Ms. Menino, and Mr. Skelsey to remember, 3 years from now, you'll still be in your first term, and this software will just be getting executed. So is there any way for them to pull ahead that timeline at all in order to make it a shorter implementation process?
The wide answer is really no. This is an enterprise project. This is a very different way of this organization approaching asset management. And the timeline that's set for this is taking all of that into account. Our current system, when it was implemented 20 years ago, was heavily DPS focused. And now we're looking at bringing in multiple departments, which is what we need for an enterprise type solution for Parks and Natural Resources to be able to have their assets in the system and being able to look towards long-term replacement. How much money are things costing to be able to take care of, and the planned replacement of those assets. So unfortunately, no, it's a long process. Our current system, yep, it's old. We've been holding it together. We've been keeping it as steady as we can. There are emergency plans should that system fail. All departments have been empowered to look at what they would have to do should Lou City fail, because it's always that's always an option. It could fail, and there is no way for us to really support this anymore. So we keep it together. We keep things status quo as best we can. If we encounter bumps in the road, we try to mitigate it, but that is our reality with it.
So do we have a backup process that if something were to fail, that it's at least sitting on my computer, or?
It's not that simple, because it is a large database solution.
Mm-hmm.
So certain departments, they are segmented. For example, facilities, their information has been segmented up, and they are now processing some of that information differently than they did before, in case the system were to fail. There are as many safeguards in place that we can do to keep operations what the departments are used to. But with that being said, they're all aware of the issues that we have with the current system and what they have to help us do to support them.
So for my employer, we have to do a backup every month. There is Warren is shut down, and it transitions to Milford, and then it goes back, so that this way there's always that opportunity to have things backed up.
So
are we going to build that in?
Yeah, yes, we will. And the databases themselves, they're still intact. There's nothing wrong with the databases. If the front end fails on this, we still have the data. The data's not corrupt. The data's not gone. It's just we might have to look at accessing it in a different way, which is partly what this process is going to do, in looking at what data do we migrate into the new system, what data is not valid to really migrate into the new system, and making those decisions, those important decisions along the way, because data migration is expensive, as you know.
So when I hear assets, I may have one picture of what an asset is. Can you describe for all of us, what is an asset that would be covered by this asset management information system?
I can chip in on there now.
That would be great.
Thank you, Ms. Lyon. Think of a mile of water main, or a mile of road, or a mile of pathway, or a facility. These are all horizontal assets, but we also have vertical assets like all of our buildings with roofs, HVAC systems, all these different assets that we have and that we manage and maintain on a daily basis. And I think that's really the part, why this is going to take a little bit longer. This isn't just simply swapping out the software. That would be a much lighter load. This is actually, and this is the beauty of what Cultivate is going to be doing, because this is what these folks do, and they only take on 2 or 3 clients at a time and give them their full focus. Is they're going to come in and critically look at our own processes and workflows and the way we do business. This is a huge culture shift for all of us, and that's why we're all basically on board, knowing we're going to have to do things differently than we did in the past. And it's certain thing, like one of the examples was some of our boots on the ground might have laptops, and they're out there tracking their work and things like that. So ultimately, I guess it would be something we don't want to rush into and throw in a system that we're not really happy, that doesn't really fit our needs. We do have, Mr. Lyon is doing a great job keeping the Lucidity going, but we know we have issues and we know we have limitations. And that's why we really want to take our time and have a holistic look. The timelines I gave you are the long end. Do I want this to go until July of 2029? Heck no, I don't think any of us do, but I would, as you know, in my budgeting process, I'm going to underpromise and overdeliver on that. So we want to keep it moving. There will be momentum. We are all motivated to get this program up and running. Mr. Elward, if you want to maybe touch on some of the operational things from just the Parks and Natural Resources / Forestry Division.
Right. So, this is the other reason that potentially it's going to take a while, right? My department's probably the worst one, if you will, and this particular element is that, and that forestry uses the system that we have currently daily, and has a huge inventory of trees, and they use it with our contractors, and we report back, and we know what the history is, and for a variety of safety reasons, what have you. But the rest of my 3 divisions don't. We don't have a strong process in place where we have used an electronic system or really even a regular system in place to tie to the assets. We work with facilities some. So it's a learning process for our team too, and a culture shift as we're going through this phase 1 to do that. And that's what's going to take some time too, is the training of how to do that, and where the lines are, and working with facilities on some of the ways that they do it. So the whole operational end, at least for my department, is all over the board on this, with really only one of the 4 divisions using and understanding what it is on a daily basis. And that's going to slow us down a lot in this too.
So an asset, to me, sounds like it's a physical asset, something I can touch, that you can take me out and show me the pipes, the water pipes, you can show me the roads, you can tell me how you counted the trees in the park, and all of that is a physical asset. I was thinking an asset is also our water bills, which I can't touch, but they're something that gets managed. Our tax bills, which are also something that I can't touch, but we manage. Is there going to be any interaction between this software and those systems?
Not directly, no. This is really, at least this phase is more focused on physical assets, not financial assets or anything else, which is why why is the finance guy coming up here? Because I have no physical assets. Why is this guy being the ringleader and the project lead for this? Well, because it sounds kind of weird. How do I phrase it? I interact very much with all of these people in developing their budget requests that go into the budget, what we need. So the big thing that we're trying to get out of this, and we kind of said it a couple times, and we're kind of beating it to death, is more proactive than reactive. To get projects that we need in our CIP, in our plans, to get replaced on a timely basis before they fail, because it costs 4 times as much to go out there and do a reactive fix as it does to do the timely and proactive fix, and to do the timely proactive maintenance along the way to keep those assets in good serviceable shape for their full extent, anticipated life, and hopefully then some. So where does that come with the water bills? Well, hopefully we'll be better at maintaining our water and sewer infrastructure, which will hopefully, over the long term, bring the overall cost of the system down to, that's where it may affect your water bill for the average resident at the end, when we're replacing things on a timely basis and not spending a lot of time going out there and fixing water main breaks.
I'm just thinking of what OU is going through right now, and the fact that they've had to close buildings and move classes because they have an infrastructure challenge.
Correct.
That they are working diligently to fix, but
We're trying to prevent that.
We don't need that. We
No,
don't
we do
have
not.
alternates to, do virtual learning. You can't get virtual water or drive on a road that's not finished. So understand it's a very important process. I'm going to expect this is going to be a very expensive project for us. So, Mr. Snyder, is it in our 3-year budget already?
What we decided not to, because it would just be throwing a number out there at this point. We don't know. I would be ridiculed on a number that I would pull out of a hat, or I do a couple Google
Or I hold you
searches on
accountable towards, so.
Yes. So, yes, we've decided not to. I think in the dollar amount that we'd be considering here, we do have funds in the Capital Improvement Fund, which could, certainly that will be the funding source for this ultimately. But I just did not want to throw a dollar amount out there. We knew about the amount that we were talking about for this phase 1, for the consultant to come in, take a holistic view of how we operate, how we manage, help us get us to the point where we can put something out on the street. But that will be really one of the first things we'll be asking of them in the first quarter of next year is, okay, give me some bulb. You guys do this day in, day out. You've implemented hundreds of these for municipalities smaller than us and larger than us throughout the country. What might we be looking at as a price range? And that then, at that point, in about 3 months' time, we will have a realistic, and it's going to be a conservative budget estimate that we're going to be able to live in. Just as this timeline that we put out, this is a conservative and realistic.
So August, we can have more conversations about the cost in our budget
I
workshop?
think we'll actually be having conversations about the budget probably February, March, when the capital improvement plan process really starts going, because this will be, one of the more, well, who knows what other projects are going to be coming up, but this will be a significant project that will be included in our capital improvement plan, which then kind of flows into the budget process from there on.
And then the new software that we have bought over the last couple of years, because even your own department had new software, these are not going to be impacted, right? It's cool. All right. So then my last comment on this is I had asked about the AI. I just want to make sure that we tell our staff that we are not replacing them with AI. There may be natural attrition during this time period, but AI is not going to replace somebody who counts our trees or keeps track of our water pipes or deals with builders coming in with permits and requests like that. We still need all of the humans in this facility that currently keep our city running at the peak performance that it is. And this software is only going to enable them to do their jobs better, but not replace them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
AI augments a human.
It does. It certainly does. So with that, President Carlock, I move the resolution in our packet.
Thank you, Ms. Mangioli. I do have a couple comments real quick, specific to that point, resources. So on this, I do the physical part of asset management at my day job, where we manage laptops and computers, and I see that we have an asset tag right here that's DP Asset 2126. Is the expectation that a new system we would have to go through and have somebody physically remark all of our assets in the city?
Go ahead.
You know, we do have records and logs of all of our asset numbers, our, DP 1234 for that particular laptop on and record. So this is another huge part of what this consultant will be able to do is to take what we currently have, our good data, and take our good data and basically transition that over to our new system. So we don't have to go around and relabel everything. We're going to try to use as much as we have. But a key point that we keep coming back to, and maybe not in this group, but internally we've discussed this ad nauseum, is we're not bringing over bad data and putting it in a brand new beautiful system. Okay. If we don't have good data, then if we didn't have any, asset numbers on all the laptops and as diligently as MIS, keeps up with it, then we probably would have to. But if we have good data, well-marked, good records, good resources, that is good to come over. And then the nice part is we're going to find those gaps where we do not have good records. And that's where we're going to have to start, and they'll help us build a kind of a hierarchy of how we maintain these assets.
Okay. That's what I was looking for is,
good.
that we're looking at a system that can accept we have asset tags from 3 companies ago and acquisitions, and I know it's different with the city, but we always look at the next system that can accept an asset tag number with a barcode from previous systems.
Yeah, that's where pointers come in, so.
Perfect, perfect. Mr. Elwart, you can't run away just yet. This asset tag, the asset tracking project, and Mr. Vizenko and Ms. Ballant, this goes for you too. Will it also manage maintenance? Will it also, so every chainsaw and the stump grinder that came to my house to grind up my city tree, all of these, the system will tell us when it's time for an oil change and when an item is end of life so that we can get a better view of when we'll need to start replacing equipment.
Okay, it's up to you.
I would say yes, and that's the big difference between the system we have now, Lucity, which is a CMMS system. It's really good at keeping track of work orders, what we did in the past. We can look back and see that. It is not very good at projecting out into the future, hey, you need to change these HVAC filters at this interval. So that's really one of the nicest parts. This will be a much more proactive system with scheduled updates on basic items. And Mr. Elmer, you look like you were chomping at the
I
bit.
just have one thing. This is for Mr. Blair. I'm not sure that we got Mr. Carlock's stump removal on our last end of the month report, so I'm going to make sure it's on the next one. But yes, Mr. Snyder is 100% connect. That's what we're shooting for. But again, the culture in our divisions is not using those systems to date. So it's a huge learning curve, but ultimately a huge staff savings long-term in how efficient we are and what we do.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. We do have some further council comments. Mr. Blair.
Thank you, President Carlock. For our new council members, I am always got my finger on the pulse of how many stumps are being ground in Rochester Hills. I pick that out of each budget. When I was reviewing the bid spreadsheet for this project, I thought these guys were consultants, but it appears they have their own asset management product. And I want to know how we can avoid a conflict of interest, because we've all been there where, a consultant tells you, oh boy, I got a product that is better than everybody else's, and that's not what we want at all. So what guardrails do we have in place to prevent that sort of activity?
We've gone through multiple rounds of interviews, and that was one of their strong points, that they were so vendor agnostic.
I mean, it's literally on the front page of their website how their asset management software is going to solve all your problems.
I believe that if they've been a vendor in the first phase, they cannot be a vendor in the second phase.
Absolutely
We
not.
cannot choose their solution. It
Okay.
would have to be a different vendor.
Thank you. Just want to make sure that's on the record.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Ms. Menino.
Yes, thank you, President Carlock. And I did have a couple questions, and I know we've touched on some of these tonight, but just to reconfirm the scope of your project, you're talking about fixed assets only, but because you were mentioning enterprise solution. To me, enterprise solution is I'm doing the purchasing, the procurement module, tying into the fixed assets, tying into the depreciation calculation on the finance side. That's a holistic enterprise solution.
This would be more physical asset enterprise, encompassing all DPS assets, facility assets, park, trees, IT. And then I think these are the main components that were currently in our Lucity system. So that's the first key, is to get those secured and moved over.
Okay.
What we'd like to do is even expand that further once we get more into the implementation. Possibly we can bring in our fleet assets, our fire assets as well, because they have their own asset management systems that they kind of run their own little things. We have lots of individual specialized software systems. We'd like to be able to bring them all in together. So when we say enterprise-wide asset management, it's not, from purchase to disposal and everything in between. It's basically the management of those systems.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was asking, because at some point, most businesses, especially the size that we have in terms of what we're managing and controlling, would try to maybe look at an enterprise solution that would take on the other modules too, and do, instead, again, we're compartmentalizing here. We're only looking at fixed assets.
Correct.
3 years from now, I need a new finance system. I need a new, I know you're on J.D. Edwards. I need to do something here. When there are solutions out there that can do everything in one, much more, I would say, efficiently than one-offs in compartmentalized systems. That's something to keep in mind. And maybe that's something you can talk about with the consultant as well. Like, what is the right solution for this size of government entity?
Okay.
That would be my challenge to the group here, to ask that question. And then back to the success of the project. So who, from an internal standpoint, is you would say, the lead on implementation of this system? Because it's a lot of work. It's almost like or is the plan to hire a contract program manager down the line to do the implementation?
The plan would be to continue with Cultivate for that phase 2. In
Okay.
phase 2, we would have the actual software system developer itself. And it wouldn't just be the city and the developer working together. That's where Cultivate would kind of come in as the middle person to make sure our needs are being relayed to the developer, and the developer is keeping good with what our needs are. Because some of this stuff gets very, very techy, and it's not quite in our wheelhouse. That's where this person, it is in Cultivate, it is in their wheelhouse, and there'll be somewhat of a liaison between both the developer and the city to make sure we get to the success goal. So it'll be kind of a shared success the whole way through. So this is just phase 1 of what we hope, phase 2, bringing forth another Cultivate contract for you for approval to actually successfully implement, and not only just implement the software, also to train employees how to use it. Because you can have the greatest software in the world, but if you don't know how to use it and implement it correctly and customize it, configure, customize is a bad word, configure it correctly. Because, this will be an investment, another investment that the city is going to be doing, and basically, we want to be able to get the full utilization of this software system, essentially to make our lives better and reduce the duplication of effort, and to make us more streamlined and be more proactive than reactive. So kind of with that, one of the things that they will be working with us on, and it's tough to put all this into an agenda summary, or else the agenda summary would be a booklet, be to develop key performance indicators on a variety of areas and everybody's speciality that we can kind of keep track of and monitor and manage and see where we're doing on our key KPIs as we go along. And if something is failing, well, why aren't we keeping up with that? So it'll really help us to have a better pulse on where our assets are at any one time.
Mm-hmm. Last question. This is, I would say, more of a detailed question on the amount that you're asking for this phase 1 with the consultant. That's, just to confirm, a full-in, it includes travel, it includes, we're not going to get a request for, extension or increase later. I mean, we're going to end up with an RFP, request for proposal, everything, gap analysis, everything done out the door for $274.
Yes, ma'am. That's my job to deliver. And
Wonderful.
If I come back to you
I'm
for
gonna
more
hold
money,
you on
then you
that.
can roast me up the flagpole, but no.
Okay. All right. That's good. Thank you. I'm good.
Thank you, Ms. Menino. We have a motion by Ms. Mangioli to move the resolution as it is in the packet. Do we have a second? Mr. Blair? Perfect. I will see no further comments. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a contract blanket purchase order for asset management information system consulting services to Cultivate Geospatial Solutions, LLC, Indianapolis, Indiana, in the amount of $274,750, and further authorizes the procurement manager to execute an agreement on behalf of the city. Further resolved that the city's acceptance of the proposal and approval of the award of a contract shall be contingent and conditioned upon the parties' entry into and execution of a written agreement acceptable to the city. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you, City Council.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
You guys worked
yeah,
for that one.
yeah. That brings us to 2025-0494, request for purchase authorization citywide blanket purchase order for purchase of various maintenance, hardware, and building supplies in the amount not to exceed $120,000 through December 31st, 2026. The Home Depot, Atlanta, Georgia. Mr. Snyder.
Okay, well, thank you again, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, City Council members, and Ms. Sidrovich. Well, this will be a little quicker, we hope, but presented before you tonight is a request for a one-year blanket purchase order for various maintenance, hardware, and building supplies in the amount of $120,000 with the Home Depot. This particular blanket is used citywide by several departments, primarily the facilities, DPS, and Parks and Grounds Division. And with that, I am here for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. I don't see any council comments on this. I have a motion by Mr. Blair, seconded by Mrs. Mangioli. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a blanket purchase order for the purchase of various maintenance, hardware, and building supplies to the Home Depot, Atlanta, Georgia, in the amount not to exceed $120,000 through December 31st, 2026. Further resolved that the city's acceptance of the proposal and approval of the award of a contract shall be contingent and conditioned upon the parties' entry into and execution of a written agreement acceptable to the city. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Item 2025-0488, request for purchase authorization clerks, a blanket purchase order for monument and marker sales in the amount not to exceed $100,000 through December 31st, 2026. Patton Monument Company, Comstock Park, Michigan. Leanne?
Thank you, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, Council. We are requesting a blanket in the amount of $100,000 through December 31st of 2026 for the purchase of monuments, for the purchase of benches, to assist our customers at the cemetery. This is not a cost absorbed by the city. This is more or less kind of like a pass-through. We collect from the customer. Then we are invoiced from Patton, and we pay Patton a percentage of that. So the revenue that comes to the city through this monument sale partnership with Patton actually goes into our Perpetual Care Trust Fund, which does take care of the cemetery. So, and that's the plan in perpetuity, to build that trust fund up, and it's doing very well. And we plan to continue that under the investment policies and supervision of CFO Snyder, and asking your permission to go through with this. In the past, we have put it through. It's been under $25,000. Last year, we needed to increase it to 100. We're hoping that we need all of that, but that's the goal. So that's why we're asking for 100,000. And with that, I guess I ask your support, but I also am here to answer questions.
Thank you, Ms.
I
Scott.
have right here.
Mr. Blair.
Thank you, President Carlock. No, I think Leanne summed it up very well. We've worked with Patton for a number of years. They have a very high-quality product, and it is a profit center for the city. So I move this for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Seconded by Mrs. Newbauer. I don't see any further comments or discussion on this topic, so I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a blanket purchase order for monument and marker sales to Patton Monument Company, Comstock Park, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $100,000 through December 31st, 2026. Further resolved that the city's acceptance of the proposal and approval of the award of a contract shall be contingent and conditioned upon the parties' entry into and execution of a written agreement acceptable to the city. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. And the last one here, 2025-0556, adoption of the 2026 City Council meeting schedule. I have a motion by Ms. Newbauer to accept the calendar as proposed, seconded by Mr. Blair. Resolved, I don't see further comment on this, resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council establishes the year 2026 regular meeting schedule for City Council on Monday evenings as follows. Regular meetings on January 12th, February 9th, March 9th, April 13th, May 11th, June 8th, July 13th, August 10th, September 14th, October 12th, and November 9th, 2026. There's more. December 7th and December 14th. Further resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council meetings will begin at 7 p.m. Michigan time and will be held at the City of Rochester Hills Municipal Offices, 1000 Rochester Hills Drive, Rochester Hills, Michigan. And further resolved that the city clerk shall provide proper notice of the 2026 meeting schedule pursuant to 15.265, Section 5, Subsection 3 of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Public Act Number 267 of 1976, as amended. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Not seeing any other business on the agenda or at the dais, I have a motion by Councilwoman Newbauer to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Skelsey. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All righty. Next meeting will be set for December 15th, 7 p.m. right here in the auditorium. Thank you all. This meeting is adjourned.